son. Where'd you find this?
Just do it! Make your dreams come true!
A few moments later.
You are now listening to Podcast 42, the world's most popular, inaccurate, and sometimes squirreled retelling of pop culture history.
I can't believe you're yelling at me about a script you wrote 6 months ago. It's not very fair. At all.
You were worried about the name. We could have kept the original name.
Okay. Well, while you're looking up the name, it's time for Podcast 42.
Oh, wow. We started.
We started.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh, my God.
It's Podcast 42.
I'm Christopher DeVos. I see the name now, yes.
Yeah.
I'm Nicole Fasone.
I'm JL Tros.
I'm Faraz. Hey.
Hey.
Someday you'll get a last name.
His last name is A.
And then you'll be a real boy.
His last name is A. All right, well, let's open up the beer cooler. JL, what's in the beer cooler this week?
Oh, I got from Tomoka Brewing Company out of Lakeland, Hazy Sunrise, which is a nice wheat ale that's brewed with oranges. Should be a nice summer beer for everybody right now.
There's not a lot to the label, but I'm going to give it a 4 just because of the colors make me
We're
happy.
ranking right now?
He's just ranking the label.
Just the label.
Like,
Is this your first show?
Yeah,
Because if
they're
that's
all
the case-
unique experiences to me.
That's because you don't pay attention.
But either way, the ABV is a 5%, so it's a right in that mid-range of beers. Should have some good flavor for an ale, wheat ale. Orange is in there, give you that nice citrus undertone. Should be a perfect summer beer, which is what I was hoping for.
Yes, it's very nice so far. So we'll see how it ranks at the end. But this week we are talking about console wars. Specifically, what's the title of this?
Today, we're discussing Console Wars, Episode 1, The Phantasm Threat.
What does that mean?
I'm going on with a Star Wars scroll, if I can. Is that possible? Can I continue?
Well,
Just
yeah.
Nobody can see the Star Wars
Yeah, we're
scroll.
audio, but
Squirrel is like...
What does what mean? The Phantasm Threat? It's about, like,
What does what?
a contender.
What
It
does
comes
what
out of the
mean?
shadows.
uh-huh.
Much like a phantom that's a menace.
Okay.
But what's a phantasm?
I still don't get it.
Are we doing this
I
quiz?
didn't want to, like, blatantly
Oh,
just
yeah.
say the Phantom Menace.
Well, get out your pens and papers because
No,
we
no,
got
no,
pop
no.
quiz time.
I can't find my quiz notebook.
It was right
It's
there in
right
front
on
of
your
you.
phone.
Oh, it's under my phone. Okay.
And this pop quiz is called, in France, the Nintendo Wii is known as the Nintendo Yes. Or why Xbox puns don't always connect with some people.
Oh,
Oh, God. Wow.
You're welcome.
Look at that.
These are going to be 5 general knowledge facts on home gaming
Tang.
consoles in order of the easiest to the hardest.
Contra.
Give yourself 1 point for each correct answer.
Frogger.
Why are you just... No, those are games.
Yes, I'm just naming games from different consoles.
Okay.
well, you could be giving away
ColecoVision.
answers.
I was going to say, nope, I'm not going to give any spoilers. So, question number 1. Who is Nintendo's mascot? Question 1. Who is Nintendo's mascot? This should be easy. Easy points for everybody in the listening audience, as well
I'm
as our
expecting
panel.
Nicole to get this, but I'm probably going to get it wrong.
You?
I don't play games.
You don't play? Yes, you do.
And you're the one that criticized the console war thing.
Question number 2. What game is credited as the first commercially successful game for home consoles? What game is credited as the first commercially successful game? I'll give a hint. It was a console itself at one point, this game. It's a console itself, and then you could buy it separately as the years went by.
What the?
I'm trying to help.
That's not helping him.
I have no idea.
All right, we'll write something down.
I wrote
So that
something.
goes
Okay.
everywhere, Nicole. It's okay. Don't drop the beer, though.
I went into the fishbowl facts.
Question number 3. What is the best-selling game console in history?
Ugh.
The best-selling game console in history. You have your pick of 1 of 50.
Good odds.
All right, question 4. What year did the first Xbox come out? Bonus points for month and date.
Shit.
Once again, I gotta put an explicit rating on this episode.
Thank you.
Year's fine.
First Xbox.
Or you could make a really funny expletive sound.
Yeah, that would work too.
Like a... Like a Mario coin.
I'm glad you explained that
It was
because I
when I
didn't know what was
started
happening,
playing
but now it
Knights
makes sense.
in Legacy of Kain.
All right, while you're thinking, moving on. Question number 5. What was the first console video game to have a save a player's progress feature?
Oh, I should know this one.
You should know this one. The first console video game where you could actually save your progress. Brand new.
There are a lot of beers in front of me right now.
There's 2, 3.
There's 3.
All right,
Quick answers.
pencils
That's the last
down.
one.
Who's Nintendo mascot for Oz?
Mario.
JL.
Mario.
Nicole.
Mario.
That is
Mario.
incorrect. It was Luigi.
You piece of shit.
It was Mario.
Mario.
All right, what game? Oh, that's right. You say it differently.
I was expecting her to say Sonic the Hedgehog.
No.
What game is credited as the first commercially successful game? Nicole?
Tetris?
Close.
I feel like that'd be
JL?
really close.
Pong.
For Oz?
I too have Pong.
The correct answer is Pong.
Wonderful.
And that's why I said it was a console in itself.
I didn't even know it was a console.
Yeah, when you bought Pong originally, it was just the system and 2 controllers.
I only recall it was on Atari, yes?
Yes.
It might have been
That's
on
the only
Atari.
version
Us.
I remember.
For us, it came just as a game, but when it first came out, before we started or
Yeah.
were born,
It was the whole box, but it just contained Pong. What is the best-selling game console in history for Oz?
I have the PS3.
JL.
I have the Xbox One.
Nicole.
I have PS4.
You're also close. It's actually the PlayStation 2.
Shit.
Was the best console.
Ah.
Yeah, you might as well keep throwing the S's out there because we already got
Great
got the
idea.
label on.
Pretty soon we're going to have the E.
No.
This
Like I
episode.
said, the coin. And like, if he cursed during the Star Wars episode, you could do like a lightsaber.
If we have a swear
opening.
jar, he's
Oh,
gonna be
that's a
buying
good
you one.
idea.
You have to have fun sounds.
But
for
now
when
you
they're-
tell me. Oh, a whole lot of editing coming on. What year did the first Xbox come out? Bonus points for month and date, JL.
1999.
So close.
2000.
So close.
I have November 2003.
So close. It was November 15th, 2001. You're going to edit this episode. And what year did the first Ring of Death happen?
That was not the question.
November 16th, 2001.
4?
And the last question, what was the first console video game to have the save a player's progress feature for Oz?
The Legend of Zelda.
JL?
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider. Nicole?
Legend of Zelda.
It's Legend of Zelda.
Yay!
Did Tomb Raider make it on a console?
I don't know.
I totally guessed.
It's
hoping.
on console now ever since the Xbox 360 and PS3
Oh,
area.
Legend of Zelda came out in the gold cartridge
Ooh.
when it first came out.
Fancy.
Because it had like a thing in the cartridge where you could save your game.
I never played Zelda. So.
What? Really?
No, really.
I think you would like Zelda.
No, I'm not a big fan. Isn't Zelda the one who like has the sword and everything?
I hate you. I hate you so much. I feel like you know.
You just described like 50% of the games out there.
Yeah. Zelda had the sword with like the Peter Pan hat and
Yes.
was trying to save the Princess Link.
And he fought Peter Pan at one point.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the script because it's a long one.
That's what she said.
As everything I do.
Long, drawn out, not to the point.
All right, start us off, Furrows.
Since the 1980s
Da da da!
and the days of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, video game consoles have stood out prominently in the realm of pop culture. This, of course, was not always the case. The console market itself was all but abandoned in the late 1970s, despite the modest success of systems such as the Fairchild Semiconductor, Channel F, and the indisputably smash hit Atari 2600.
That is like the worst name ever for a console system. The Fairchild Semiconductor Channel F. What
Yes,
is that?
There's a lot going on with that name.
That is like a
That
Weird
is the
Al
name of my new
Yankovic
band.
album. Is
Yeah.
that the band?
That's going to be my new band
and they
or my
competed against
album.
the Atari,
my
so it
first
did not
album.
do well with that name.
Andy Dwyer.
No.
Retailers believe that the advent of handheld gaming consoles were the way of the future and that home consoles were a thing of the past. So begins our tale. At a time when retailers were resistant to stocking up on
I
home
feel like
consoles.
that there's like a bard following us playing music, as you say. So begins our tale.
Oh, there's more. This
It's
is
like a Star Wars
this plays
scroll.
out
There's
like a
minstrel
play.
that should be in here.
There
it's a
should
Greek
be.
tragedy
It should,
about to unfold before your very eyes.
and that should make
And
it all
ears.
more apparent who wrote this script.
What?
Eric Idle.
Until the holiday season of 1978 proved retailers wrong and encouraged them to reinvest in the home console market. It should be mentioned that around this time, the Japanese game Space Invaders was revolutionizing arcades. Prior to this, they were generally seen as hangout spots for hoodlums.
Like Faraz.
Canadian hoodlums.
They're pronounced hoodlums.
Give me that quarter, eh?
Hoodlums.
Space Invaders
I'm taking your poutine, eh?
Space
You
Invaders
hoser.
brought all walks of life into the arcade and made it mainstream. We should play a Zelda theme or something. As
No,
we
it's
go.
copyright.
I was being your minstrel.
Oh, is it? Dang it! You can do the
Yeah,
minstrel
why don't you
thing.
just
But can you
sing
just
this
a
one
Zelda twist to it at least?
No, I can't remember Zelda music at this moment.
Oh,
yes, I can remember. The introduction of Space
Pole
Invaders.
position.
You should do it for me. I did it for you. The introduction of Space Invaders into the market herald was known as the golden age of arcade video games. Thank you, Nicole. While Space Invaders revitalized the industry in numerous ways, including the introduction of having lives instead of a timer. You knew this. You got it wrong in the pop quiz, but you wrote it in the script. No, you did get it right in the pop quiz. I'm sorry.
I did. What are you talking about?
I apologize. It was also the first arcade game to be ported to a home console. The Atari 2600 made waves when it brought a port of Space Invaders onto living room televisions. The move saw Atari nearly double its sales figures, and the entire video game industry itself found itself riding a sudden
It's always
surge.
something to edit in my script.
Well, you can never make fun of me again.
Wait, I thought your script was supposed to not need editing.
Well, someone said it didn't need editing.
Well, it needed editing because it was 72 pages long. While Atari
The
dominated...
Odyssey is actually shorter than
Yes.
the original script.
Homer is jealous. Well, Atari dominated its console generation. Big competitors such as Mattel and Television, which debuted the same year as the Atari 2600, see second place. And the Magnavox Odyssey 2, also known as the Philips
I
G7000,
thought that was a TV.
No.
I thought it was a robot,
Yeah,
settled
the
into
one that
third.
Rocky had in Rocky 4.
Did he have a robot in Rocky 4?
What?
Yeah, he did.
I never saw Rocky 4.
He ended the Cold War in that one.
Oh, okay. Is that the one with Dolph Lundgren?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Meanwhile, the pioneer that first began the second generation of home consoles, the Fairchild Channel F, bowed out of the market, though it had entered the arena a full year before Atari.
By 1982, the market had become abundantly saturated by competitors eager to profit from the example of Atari. Third-party developers, heralded by Activision, appeared and began producing titles for each competing system. Price wars began, as seen in the modern age between Microsoft's Xbox and Sony's PlayStation lines. Home computers started becoming more of a threat to video game industry titans, especially the Commodore 64,
And the
That was the
TRC
Lionel
80.
Richie one.
which boasted not only a competitive price point, but also the ability to connect to a living room television set for gaming. This oversaturation and the advancing threat of home computers eventually saw the entire console battlefield crumble beneath the weight of the vicious bloodbath. In 1983, the video game console market was obliterated, occupied only by faint wisps of smoke and the shadows of tattered dreams. This was known as the video game crash of 1983, or the Atari shock. After reaching the peak
I thought the Atari Shock was a sex move.
It involves this finger.
That's
And
the
the
pinky for
thumb.
those who can't see us.
It involves the thumb. There's a lot of thumb work in there.
Okay.
After reaching the
Hello, Nicole's
peak
mom.
of industry pleasure. Why did you have to look that
Two in the pink, thumb in the stink. That's called the Atari Shocker.
You got it? You composed?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
Remember,
Do not spill beer all over me.
Yeah, that's right. Just remember later on when you're having the Atari Shocker.
Oh.
After reaching
Bang, bang.
the peak of industry pleasure, with revenues and
budget.
figures
Oh,
of
yeah.
over $3 billion.
$3 billion.
By
baby.
1985, industry revenue had plummeted by close to 100%.
So it's just done.
Dead.
Yes. Industry crash.
They got the Atari
And that
shock.
was right after the
I'm
second
not feeling
console.
pleasure after that. The surplus of rushed video games and consoles to the market left retailers with no room to keep such enormous inventories. Retailers tried to return the excess supply to game publishers, who now no longer had the cash or ability to produce more material. Publishers folded, and high-profile titles such as the Atari port of the popular arcade Pac-Man went unsold or into $5 discount bins.
You gotta know when to fold them.
Know when to play 'em. Virtually no one was making video games for home consoles. Virtually no one.
No one.
With the significant exception of a company in Japan.
Hello Kitty!
Japan?
No?
No,
No.
it was
Oh.
Kuropi. Nintendo released its family computer, the Famicom, in Japan in the summer of 1983. That was a good year. The company,
Return of
whose
the Jedi.
name would eventually become synonymous with game console, tried, without success, to introduce the Famicom to Western markets.
So it sounds like a transvestite hookers.
It may have been, because retailers remembered all too well the injuries they suffered from the collapse of the video game industry, and anything resembling a home console threatened to reopen those ghastly wounds. Nintendo persisted. It changed the name of the Famicom console to the Nintendo Entertainment System, even referring to it as a control deck or game pack. Anything to avoid the word console.
Do not say the word console in front of me. It's a game pack.
Console.
Game pack.
Console.
You may say control deck,
Control deck.
but you may not say console. It's a dirty word.
Even though it is a console.
The NES was even more similar to a VCR than a video game console of the past.
I said don't use console.
Sorry. With its cartridge jack featured in front of the device, unlike the top-loaded Atari cartridges and the circuit cards seen in the first console generation. Nintendo also developed a toy robot companion for the NES, known as Rob, the robotic operating buddy.
Oh, that's so cute.
Who was also in Rocky 4.
And I feel like Awesemo, like South Park made a reference to that, I think. Anyway, Rob was designed with the intention of persuading retailers that the NES was more like a toy than a video game console. It worked!
Video game pack.
Ugh. Nintendo effectively launched the third generation of video game consoles and moved the Kingdom of Video Gametopia from the United States to Japan, where Nintendo would sit firmly upon the throne for years to come.
And the throne was made out of joysticks.
No,
Like the Game of
D-pads,
Thrones.
D-pads.
No,
Joysticks
I
were
like-
Atari's thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
God,
Just-
are you serious?
Okay, correct my joke. It was just a joke.
I got your joke.
Thank you.
Having
And I've
learned,
never seen the show.
having learned from the failures of its predecessors, Nintendo realized that the threat to home consoles came from the poor development of third-party games, which had flooded the market before the game crash. To prevent a similar crisis with the NES, Nintendo enforced strict software development measures, including region-specific lockout codes and the Nintendo Seal of Approval. This golden seal was implemented by Nintendo to protect the public against the release and market saturation of poor quality games.
I did have to think how a seal sounds, and I don't think I nailed it.
No, we need to get a sound effect for that next time.
Moreover, Nintendo reserved exclusive rights to cartridge manufacturing for the NES. Not only did third-party developers need to earn Nintendo's seal of approval,
That was like a sad seal.
there's a seal from SeaWorld.
Oh.
But they also...
Aww.
All right, Blackfish. But they also had to buy the non-refundable cartridges from Nintendo if they meant to publish their games for the console. Nintendo also restricted most third-party developers to producing a maximum of 3 to 5 titles per year and required exclusivity to their work. Developers were not allowed to produce titles for any other console. Boy, Nintendo was a dick.
Yeah.
All these measures were direct responses to the Great Crash of '83. But these practices also ensured that Nintendo itself stood to generate the most revenue from the development of video games for the NES. They were a greedy dick. There was also a sturdy arrangement for the new king of Gametopia.
Is that a real place?
Wasn't this a TV show on Spike?
I think it was.
But it was not.
I have not.
I know you keep hanging back and forth between me and JL like you're going to say something significant.
You may continue.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to know who the original king of Gametopia was.
It was the Atari 2600. It was right there. But it was on the first page.
It was the king of wishful thinking.
That's why
I
Nintendo.
love the king of wishful thinking.
But that's why Nintendo moved the kingdom from the United States to Japan.
Yes.
Because of Atari's fall.
They put it in a pod and they stuck it on a boat.
That song's going to be in my head now for a while.
But it was not so favorable a deal for those third-party subjects of the kingdom. Eventually, Nintendo would learn that those third-party developers would remember the unfriendly treatment and carry their resentment in later generations. Now, son, when you develop for Nintendo, I want you to remember how they treated us.
Here as poor peasants in Gametopia.
Which is what happened.
Yes. Nintendo, with the intention of preserving the prosperity of Gametopia, was laying down the bitter seed. Why are you giggling over there? Because you're making us all say Gametopia? Is that why you're giggling?
No, I think it's the bitter seed.
The bitter seed.
He's put a lot of innuendo into this.
Wow.
It wasn't long before a challenger laid its sights on the throne.
Because there can be only one.
Yes.
The Japanese company Sega released the Master System, also called the Sega Mark II.
Sega!
The Master System played both cartridges and credit card-sized game cards.
I feel dirty playing the Master System.
Though more powerful and
Especially in Gametopia.
graphically capable than the NES, the Master System could not dethrone the King of Gametopia. Nintendo's exclusive rights over big-name developers kept its library of games intact and kept Sega safely beyond arm's reach. Without the ability to secure enough third-party developers, the Master System would only see modest success, whereas the NES would remain king of the
They
generation.
didn't really call it the Master System, did they?
Can you just... Yes, they did. Yes,
Can
they
I
did.
just what?
Just... you read it. How do you not read
You
it?
created a kingdom called Gametopia.
I
don't mind him if he's questioning this.
I know.
Don't mind these questions. Stop poking holes in my world.
I'm not poking nothing.
Yeah, trust me, we're not poking anything,
Yes.
especially with your bitter seed.
My
out there.
bitter seed is staying over here.
In the late 80s, the third generation of home consoles was taken by surprise as the fourth generation suddenly sprang upon them.
We're here.
Hudson Soft,
Who?
which had initially pitched their idea of a small card-like ROM cartridge.
Wrong.
Rom.
Sorry, a card-like ROM cartridge
Red
to
ROM.
Nintendo, partnered
ROM,
with
right.
NEC to launch the TurboGrafx
That's actually pronounced neck.
TurboGrafx 16
Yes.
in Japan in 1987 and in North America in 1989. Though Nintendo had been approached by Hudson Soft with their new technology, Nintendo had declined the offer, having instead grown complacent
Stagnant.
in the continual success of its 8-bit NES.
Get out of here, Hudson Soft. We don't need you. What?
Dude.
Really?
See us next week.
Oh, my.
The Who card allowed NEC to release PC Engine games to its own handheld console in addition to the home console.
I believe that's pronounced Ho-Card.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I thought it was like Husker Du or whatever.
I don't know.
NEC wasn't alone in this fourth generation. Sega soon released its 16-bit Master Drive, also known as the Genesis, which immediately flourished in Europe, South America, and North America, where it was marketed with the daring statement, Genesis does what Nintendo don't. I like that, actually.
Yeah, it's clever.
It is. It was the first shot fired in what would forever be known as the most brutal console war of all time, the console war of 1989. Sega proudly and aggressively went after Nintendo and the throne of Gametopia, constantly touting the graphical triumphs of the 16-bit Genesis over the 8-bit NES. The Genesis even featured accurate ports of popular video arcade titles like Mortal Kombat.
Did Phil Collins have anything to do with this?
No, he was too busy being studio.
Okay.
Sega also unleashed Sonic the Hedgehog, its own mascot to rival Nintendo's Mario.
Or Mario.
Yeah, whoever
Mario.
that is.
It's Mario.
Yeah, sure. Whereas Mario was short and plump, Sonic was slender and fast, exhibiting the air of cool and edginess symbolic of Sega's marketing strategy.
Almost 2 years after the launch of the PC Engine and the Sega Genesis, Nintendo finally realized the threat to its reign. Nintendo isn't exactly known for its speed after all, and stepped into the fourth generation of the legendary Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Dun dun dun!
Developed by the same minds behind the NES, the SNES began the trend of
That's
Nintendo's
pronounced
SNES.
SNES.
What? Are you serious? I always said SNES.
Yeah,
No, it's
no,
pronounced
There's no way.
SNES.
American.
SNES.
The SNES.
We got him to say SNES!
The Super Nintendo began the trend of Nintendo consoles selling out within hours of their debut. The demand for the SNES even led to the Japanese government asking Nintendo to schedule future releases on weekends to avoid any more weekday turmoil. Despite being late to the battle, the SNES
SNES!
SNES!
immediately outsold all opponents, securing Nintendo's grip once again.
In Gametopia.
Big-name third-party developers like Konami, Square, Capcom,
Wait a
and
minute, is
Enix.
Konami squared, or is that two separate things?
Two separate things still.
Oh, I didn't see the comma. I
It's
thought it was
there.
Konami squared.
And Enix remained as loyal
It's pronounced
knights. Enix remained as loyal knights in Nintendo's royal court, supporting the King of Gametopia throughout the fourth era. It's like a history lesson, like the Crusades.
Too bad I've never heard of Gametopia. Where do they sit in the United Nations? Right next to Canada?
But Nintendo brought its own might to bear as well, unleashing upon the arena blockbuster titles like Super Mario World, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and Mario Kart.
Don't forget Star Fox.
Do you know how you get to Gametopia? You go left, left, right, right, up, up, down, down, B-A.
That's the Konami code.
Oh.
I thought it was ABACABB.
No, Chris is right. The Konami code.
Ask Wreck-It Ralph for directions.
It's from it's still unlockable. The secrets in Mortal Kombat, and I think a lot of Konami games. They were
You know what's
actually
a great
referenced.
game for it? American Gladiators.
What?
Yeah, you never watch American Gladiators?
Yeah,
I just
Yeah.
wanted to make a navigational joke, that's all.
it was what up down. No, but just start select too. It was like up down, left right, start select. I think.
Oh, I thought we were just giving out old codes. 'Cause
We are. Nintendo also released graphically impressive titles powered by the brand new Super FX chip, which could emulate a 3D experience in a 2D architecture, like Star Fox.
yeah.
And with its legendary partnership with developer Rare, Donkey Kong Country, which would become the console's third best-selling title, and the Killer Instinct fighting game series.
Oh, it's a good game.
I don't think I made it past the caverns in Donkey Kong Country.
No, I was talking about Killer Instinct.
Oh, I never played that one.
Xbox has it now.
The rival between Nintendo and Sega was so heated that it stands out as the most epic clash ever to be had in all of console war history. There's a whole chapter of it in the console war history book on that alone. The battle was so fierce that Nintendo could no longer enforce its practice of exclusivity from third-party developers, which began making titles for both the SNES and the Genesis, with the noteworthy exceptions of Capcom and Square. The overlap between the fourth and the imminent fifth generations was undeniable. Sega, working on its cool factor, hey, look at me, I'm cool, and the need to get an edge in the battle with Nintendo and the SNES's unexpected 3D-style innovations invested in CD technology. Sega CD was born as an add-on device to the existing Genesis, allowing the console to play standard cartridge video games as well as larger and graphically superior video games on CDs.
Observing the threat from the new and modestly popular Sega peripheral, Nintendo turned to Sony. Having previously partnered with the Japanese tech giant to develop the processor for the Super NES,
SNES.
the King of Gametopia was already friendly with Sony.
Sony.
A visitor in the Kingdom of Gametopia.
Hi, we're here.
Originally had no interest in the video game market, but had agreed to help work on the Super NES.
SNES.
Which, of course, turned out to be a huge financial success. Thus, Nintendo invoked its alliance with Sony to help develop a CD-ROM peripheral for the Super NES.
SNES.
That would match the Sega CD in the next phase of this
Which
ferocious
wasn't too hard because Sega
console
CD
war.
flopped.
Ferocious console war. Having glimpsed the rewards of financial success with the
SNES!
Sony decided that it wanted more out of the new arrangement. No longer would Sony be content with merely visiting the kingdom. The Super Disc project would give Sony rights over the new format,
To Gametopia.
access to Nintendo licenses, along with other fruits of labor, thus giving Sony a foothold on this new battlefield.
When you're done listening to this, here is something else you can sink your ear holes into.
Hey everyone, this is Toph, host of Gravity Beard, a podcast featuring interviews and discussions on a wide range of topics. In each episode, I'll either interview a special guest, or we'll convene our typical Algonquin roundtable of brilliant minds. Occasionally, we'll even be joined by the host of one of your other favorite podcasts. Then every other week, my buddy Adam stops by for an installment of This Week Today. Whatever we do each week, we promise you'll be entertained. You can find Gravity Beard on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else quality podcasts are sold. And you can always find us and other indie pods in the Underdog Podcast community on Facebook. We're also a member of the Podfix Network. Come check us out. Gravity Beard. It's what your ears will want to be listening to.
This is Chris Osborne from Play Comics, and you are listening to Podcast 42.
Nintendo, by now notorious in the industry for its obsession with control, was disconcerted by the arrangement. So even as
They were like Janet Jackson.
Yeah. So even as Sony began work on the Super Disc format and the SNES-compatible PlayStation project for Nintendo, the King of Gametopia pursued a second secret arrangement with Sony's own competitor in the electronics industry, the Dutch company Philips.
Everybody wore wooden shoes.
To Sony's humiliation and shock, a day after Sony announced the Super Disc/SNES hybrid device, the PlayStation, Nintendo announced its partnership with Philips. While Sony was able to continue production of the Super Disc add-on to the SNES, Nintendo sued for control and profit over the games, pouring salt into the wound it had cut into its old friend. All PlayStation units produced by Sony were required to have SNES compatibility. Sony would remember the betrayal.
Now, I know pouring salt into the wound is an old saying that everybody has, but don't you think it'd be super funny that if there's a big sword fight going on, and then
Yes!
like I cut you on your arm,
It's merely a flesh wound.
and then I pull out a salt shaker and then start dabbing it on the wound.
That would hurt like hell.
Yeah, but it'd be weird.
What if you had like, buckets of rubbing alcohol on you?
Like, where did any of that come from?
To make matters worse.
It's like we're all snails.
To make matters worse, Philips never did develop a CD-ROM peripheral for the SNES, instead producing its own game console, the CD-I. Though the CD-I would be a terrible financial disaster, Philips also used it as a means to which to drag Nintendo through the mud. The arrangement it had with Nintendo allowed Philips to use Nintendo's famous characters without Nintendo's supervision or seal of approval.
Now imagine if I cut you with my sword, and then I took out a salt shaker, and I poured salt into it, and then I kicked you to the ground, and then I dragged you through the mud. That'd be like the worst battle ever.
It would, because it would lead to the infamously disastrous titles Under the Legend of Zelda banner, whose names I don't have. The Sorrow of Link.
What were the bad
I'm not
titles?
Zelda, I'm really Link battle.
There were the Legend of Zelda titles for the CDI. I think one of them was Zelda's Adventure or something like that. And
okay.
There were two of them. Anyway,
I got turned into a frog, and I cannot turn back into Link Adventure.
that sounds like it could have been one. They were all really bad.
What was the one where you had to have your buddies play with you and you couldn't play it alone?
Four swords.
4 swords?
4 swords. That was You
ever play swords?
That
Are
one.
you inviting me?
No, I'm just asking. Have you ever played
Don't
swords?
cross the streams.
The 4 swords came with a salt shaker.
That's right, and make sure you never pour salt because that would hurt.
The king of Gametopia had erred tragically, and...
And what?
Erred.
Erd?
He heard?
Erred. It's pronounced Erd.
Erd?
Like you make... Good God.
These
Okay, keep
medieval
going.
references are falling flat.
I just wanted you to say Erd again.
Had erred tragically,
Say Erd Sniss.
and, through its own arrogance, bared the fruit of its eventual fall.
You're not going to say it, are you? Erd Sniss.
Bird's
Sony,
nest.
wounded by Nintendo's betrayal, approached
It's
its
merely a
old
flesh wound.
ally's bitter rival, Sega, with its technology. Sega refused the offer, seeing Sony as an outsider unversed in the culture and dynamics of the home console arena. Sony was undeterred, its CEO determined to leave a mark on the kingdom dominated by Nintendo. To counter the lawsuit, Nintendo used to keep control over the PlayStation. Sony changed the name of its console by removing the space between the two words, officially giving birth to the monumental PlayStation. No space this time.
Take that,
Becoming
Nintendo!
the king of Gametopia.
Suddenly, the fifth generation was here.
Dun dun dun!
The threat to Nintendo's throne would come in the form of 32-bit consoles from Sega, Sony, and even a ghost out of the past, Atari.
They were always lurking in the shadows.
Nintendo, ever slow to the punch, continued to stubbornly fight these 32-bit enemies with its 16-bit SNES. Armed with its pseudo 3D abilities and its Super Effects chip. But the SNES couldn't hold the horde back for much longer.
Just can't do it.
The fifth generation brought to battle too many enemies, as many combatants as seen in the terrible days of the second generation, the era before the Great Crash.
Time.
Through the Nintendo 6... Though, not through it. Because that would be weird. To go through the Nintendo 64. We're not doing that. Not this time. Though the Nintendo 64 would eventually arrive to relieve the ailing SNES, bringing with it iconic and legendary titles like The Legend of Zelda or Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina.
Yes.
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina.
It was called Game of the Century.
Ocarina.
I'm also going to add in Goldfinger.
Yes.
And
Golden
Mario
Eye?
Kart.
Oh, I'm sure
Golden
you're
Eye?
adding in
Oh, yeah,
Goldfinger.
Golden
You're just saying Golden Eye.
I'm a very Connery Bob fan, so I just automatically go to that one. But yes, GoldenEye, which I think was the dawn of first-person shooters, like really
Yeah.
good consoles
That's
right
pretty
there.
much started it.
That one was phenomenal to play.
But was it as good as Hey Ocarina?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Sony's PlayStation would become the first console to ever ship 100 million units worldwide. What?
Now that song's stuck in my head. Thanks a lot.
Good. You deserve it. Gaining the vast support of the Kingdom's third-party developers, even those that had stuck with Nintendo through thick and thin. The sun had set on Nintendo's rule. The company that had revived the home console market had lost its throne. Sony had conquered the kingdom of video game Gametopia, usurping the company that had betrayed it. It'd be generations until the Nintendo Wii came out and again laid eyes on its lost throne. All right, maybe Nintendo Wii I threw in there.
Yes,
That
but
wasn't
that was
correct.
accurate. That was pretty. That's how Nintendo
With the Wii?
became. Yeah, it was with the Wii. The
Okay.
Wii became the fastest
Wii.
selling.
Oh, Wii U is what I was thinking.
The Wii U was a crash.
That's what I should have said.
Yeah, it was the Wii that outsold all of its competitors, surprising both Microsoft and Sony.
Well, very informative.
Do we have fishbowl facts?
Let's do some fishbowl facts.
Yay!
Yay! Who's starting? I'll start since I did not read. Past Chris. Pass it around. Alright, now our first fishbowl fact says Game & Watch is a line of handheld electronics games produced by Nintendo from 1980 to 1991. Each Game & Watch features a single game to be played on an LCD screen in addition to a clock, an alarm, or both. Fishbowl facts.
That was a long fishbowl fact.
Yeah, this is short and fishbowl facts. So most of these are long.
The first video games appeared in the 1960s. They were played on massive computers connected to vector displays, not analog televisions.
Ooh.
Fishbowl.
Sega's Dreamcast was the first console with a built-in modem and was released in Japan on November 27, 1998.
Yeah.
The Odyssey console came packaged with dice, paper money, and other board game paraphernalia to go along with the games.
Paraphernalia.
And a peripheral controller. The first video game, Light Gun, was sold separately.
The first handheld game console with interchangeable cartridges was the Microvision, designed by Smith Engineering and distributed and sold by Milton Bradley in 1979.
Fishbowl facts.
It's a fishbowl.
The Magnavox Odyssey is the first commercial home video game console, released in September 1972. It was capable of displaying 3 square dots on the screen in monochrome black and white, with differing behavior for the dots depending on the game played, and with no sound capabilities. Players placed plastic overlays on the screen to create visuals.
That had to be annoying.
Yeah, but it's a fishbowl.
Why don't we use my fishbowl facts?
Oh my goodness.
I had so many good ones.
I didn't see any of your fishbowl facts.
They're right here. They're
You
right
never
in the Google
emailed them.
Docs.
I didn't see them.
There were so many good ones in here.
I would have used them. We'll read one of yours.
I will.
Okay.
Can I have yours to read then?
Yes. I'll start with bullet point number 2.
This
What
is
happened to number 1?
This is bullet point number 2 out of
Fine,
700.
I'll start with number 1. I wanted to skip it because I can't pronounce the names.
Actually, Andrew would say, let's start at the very beginning.
Fine,
A very
we'll
good
start at the
place to
beginning.
start.
Ken Kutaragi, CEO of Sony in the late 1980s, was almost fired by the company for having built the sound chip and processor for Nintendo's SNES at a time when Sony's executives had no interest in the video game industry. Nintendo's later betrayal of its deal with Kutaragi involving the Super Disc project would lead to Kutaragi earning the title of the father of the PlayStation after the success of the Sony's PlayStation consoles.
It's pronounced Super NES, by the way. Oh, I got to read one of yours?
Yeah, we're going to do mine because mine are interesting and I put a lot of work in them. These are just random stuff.
Yeah, that's what fishbowl facts
Mine are contextual.
What do you?
That's why I've had them there for a month. I had them in the month from the Google Docs.
First show.
You've had this show written for 6 months.
Mario was originally named Mr. Video and Jumpman until Nintendo of North America renamed the Pudgy Plumber after the landlord of their American warehouse.
That's interesting.
You want to give one to Nicole?
Okay, pass me the phone.
Fine.
She said fine, like
She's like, I'm done with this.
The Legend of Zelda was developed simultaneously alongside Super Mario Bros. For the NES.
How is that pronounced?
Super Mario Bros.
Mario Brothers?
For the NES, and was inspired by Miyamoto's childhood adventures of exploring caves on his own. He did not think that the game would do well, as sword and sorcery titles weren't popular at the time. Nonetheless, the original Legend of Zelda sold over 7 million copies, and the series would go on to become one of the most popular in the entire
That's not a fishbowl
industry.
fact. That's a script upon itself.
One bullet point. It's a single bullet
Oh my
point.
gosh. What's Mario's brother's name?
Luigi?
Okay, Luigi.
Is that a fishbowl fact?
No, it's just because she says Mario different. I was wondering if she
Did
said
you know-
Luigi different.
Did
Did you know this fishbowl fact that Nicole read actually took up Faraz's whole screen on his phone? Also, Shigeru Miyamoto is a huge fan of George Lucas, even drawing inspiration from Star Wars for the popular Star Fox games. He did not, however, care for the prequel trilogy.
Yay!
That was a weird fact. Did we know what?
So there is Mario and Luigi and Wario, and then there's Waluigi. But Waluigi only first debuted during Mario Tennis on Nintendo 64. So, I mean, he comes off like he's a villain, but he just wants to play tennis. That's where he came from.
He's like an evil Andre Agassi.
He's supposed to be the anti-Luigi, like
Yeah.
Wario is the anti-Mario.
Nicole
Yeah,
facts.
you know, how like,
Nicole
Mario's
facts.
Pete Sampras and Luigi's Andre Agassi, or Mario is Roger Federer and Luigi's Nadal.
He just wants to play tennis, damn it.
That's
just
it.
wants to
I'm
play
gonna run through
tennis.
every good tennis comparison I can.
Sega originally envisioned the Genesis as a
it's-
universal console that can play games from any platform. To this end, Sega built the Genesis with components from Nintendo's Game Boy and Apple's Macintosh.
All right, well, that's Fishbowl
No,
Facts.
we have like 2 more pages.
No, I think
No.
it's
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
We didn't get to the Sega ones with the
Well,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
We have emails to go over.
Yay! I love emails. How many emails
Or the
do we have?
controller dynamics.
So we have emails to go over.
controllers. There's all this stuff. There's a whole chapter in commercial.
For us. You know, to make you feel better, if you drink the beer of the week.
Look at this one. The plastic casing of the SNES had a penchant for turning yellow.
Drink your beer and take a deep breath. You're starting to
Remember,
get hysterical.
use your safe word. SNES. SNES.
This-
Just keep saying it.
This is
SNES.
hour 2 of this episode already.
Oh my goodness gracious. So if you want to email us, you can email us at podcast42show@gmail.com. 42 is numerically. We would love to hear any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, anything you have to tell us. That's where you can find us. We got an email from the Big HC, which I wonder what HC stands for.
What would HC stand for?
I don't know. Now you need to
What-
enlighten
I
us.
don't- yeah,
Why are
what
you
does that
laughing like
mean?
a little schoolgirl?
No reason.
Okay.
I want to know.
Nope, I'm good.
I want to know.
Can I
Oh,
Google
you'll
this?
know
What does
later when
HC
you
stand
talk to the
for?
big HC.
I don't know.
Oh, my SIM card's gone again. Chris, I need you.
Can't you just tell me?
Reboot.
Oh, no. I'm gonna let
Can you just
figure
like take it out and
here.
put it back in?
Yeah, I think I got the tool.
Alright, you have the
Please?
tool, take it out and put it back
I
in?
think. All right, what's the email? He's not going to tell. It's
I'm
JL.
What is everyone's favorite Marvel superhero and or villain? I don't have a favorite either.
Why not?
What?
Because I don't watch any of this.
Did you see Infinity War?
I saw, but I don't have a favorite.
You didn't have a favorite in that entire movie that can become your defunct
No.
favorite?
No.
No.
Is that your first Marvel movie?
No.
Then you should have a favorite.
No.
Who you would actually like to see, that you like watching their interactions. And
Oh,
dialogue.
God.
Oh my goodness.
Look at the definition of HC.
What is it? Tell me.
You
Tell
don't
me.
let Chris say it.
Tell me.
I'm not saying that.
Tell
Can
me.
I see?
Say it.
Can I
Say
see?
it. Say it. Say it. Say it.
Horse
Yeah,
cock.
that's right.
What is it?
Horse cock.
Why would that person have that as their email?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't realize that.
What did they
would
think
get-
it meant,
It would
Chris?
get
What do you think they
It
think
could have
it
been
meant?
Horatio Constantinople.
I don't think that's what they thought it meant.
Could have been Henry
But you know
Castanova.
what, though? I still can't believe you don't have a favorite after watching certain things.
No, my favorite. I'm not informed enough. See, this
That
is the
doesn't
thing.
matter about
this,
being
no,
informed. Watching
it
one or
does
two
mean
things
something because
means
if-
you can find somebody that you grow attached to. You're telling me that after reading one major book,
that would
you
be
don't
like
grow attached to a certain character if there's a series of books. So if you read Harry Potter, there's not a one character that you would become attached to.
Saruman.
that would be like me
Yes, exactly.
picking a favorite Star Wars character and then everybody being like, "What? How could that be your favorite character?
Why-
that doesn't make
why not?
sense."
Why not?
Because
I haven't
Wait,
read
everybody-
who's
Star
your
Wars.
favorite Star Wars character?
I don't have one.
Oh.
You should,
But
though.
nobody would say that
Everybody-
because you can have whatever
Nobody
you
would
want.
say that.
Because at the end of the
okay.
day, everybody's entitled to their opinions over who their favorite character is.
Yeah.
My favorite Star Wars character is Boba Fett.
And
who
what about
has
your favorite
all
Marvel
of
character?
15 minutes of screen time if you combine both movies. Also, I like Captain Phasma, who has all of like 20 minutes.
But the big horse cock wanted to know who
Who
your
was your
favorite
favorite
Marvel
Marvel
character
superhero?
was.
My favorite Marvel hero.
And or villain.
My favorite Marvel hero is Hawkeye.
Really?
Yes.
From
After Hawkeye, it's Luke Cage.
That's what I thought. Luke Cage was your first.
Hawkeye and Luke Cage are my two favorite heroes. Villains. I like Bullseye and Carnage.
Carnage.
All right, Froze.
Are we talking about MCU or just like overall
Whatever.
Marvel comics,
Whatever you
cartoons,
want
Whatever you want,
comics,
because I
novels?
just went with people that have not appeared in a lot of things.
I'm gonna go with my favorite Marvel character across the board has always been Spider-Man. The movie's not, kind of hitting there. Homecoming did not resonate with me.
I thought that was good.
I felt like
Oh,
it
I
was a
loved
betrayal of
Homecoming.
everything that I grew up with, an abandonment of my childhood dreams.
It's awfully harsh.
Why?
For a
Because it
movie.
totally sets up the Marvel version for Civil War and him getting the Iron Spider
It's
suit
too much
and-
like MCU and not enough Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man doesn't need Tony Stark to make him a costume. Peter Parker is a genius, and they're kind of saying no.
Yes, but we
Here's
also
Tony Stark
don't-
to,
yes,
like,
but if
make
we
you
go
into his
movie-wise,
ward.
we haven't introduced Reed Richards either, who's the smartest man in the Marvel universe.
Anyway, I don't want to go into why I didn't like Homecoming unless that's what we want to do.
No.
But I would say Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character overall. Villain wise, I have to lean towards Carnage too, but I can't clearly distinguish between Carnage and Green Goblin, because they both have that insane homicidal tendency that like kind of draws people towards the Joker and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of the same character with different abilities and different means of wealth. Carnage is just pure raw obvious carnage, whereas Green Goblin's got a little bit more game plan. I couldn't decide on the two.
He's Lex Luthor, who's more psychotic.
Yeah, and has more, I guess, physical ability to do things.
He's not as calculated in my mind.
Yeah. Chris?
Well, my favorites, I'm just going with the movies, is Doctor Strange and Star-Lord. I like them. And
and if I try, there's silence from these two.
That's
who
fine.
are hardcore Marvel people, because they're like...
because
they're okay.
I'll tell you my favorites from the film right after.
That's okay. They're allowed to go poo-poo.
Well, I might not go poo-poo.
But you're allowed.
I'll say my favorites from the film after.
That's what having an opinion is. This is America.
My phone just went poo-poo.
According to Donald Glover, this is America.
Oh, yeah.
So catch a step in on.
And then my favorite villain is Cobra Commander.
Oh,
Cobra Cabana is my favorite.
Is he I guess they had Marvel Comics out of him.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Now,
they also had Marvel Comics out of
Marvel movies. My favorite heroes are going to be Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, Black Panther. My favorite villains, or should I say villain, is Eric Killmonger.
Who's that?
Black Panther villain.
Oh, I didn't see that one yet.
Oh,
we're going to watch it Thursday.
Good.
The boys and I are going to watch it Thursday in Joslin.
It's so good.
I didn't care for it.
I've heard mixed things.
I felt like it got overhyped for the message it was portraying and wasn't valued enough for the merits of a movie and storyline. So it suffered from a lot of slow pacing, and yet people overlooked it because of its message, its cultural significance, if you will.
I just want to say Wakanda Ho. Isn't that what they said?
It's Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever, ho.
You're mixing Thundercats in this, and I know what you're doing.
All right, let's rate the beer.
Yeah.
Nicole, what'd you think?
Let's see.
You're still drinking it?
You're still drinking it?
So when you were telling me that it was a wheat ale brewed with oranges, I was kind of hoping it was going to be similar to Blue Moon.
No.
It was not similar to a Blue Moon.
Blue Moon's a trading beer.
Yes.
Is that why it has the little wheels on it?
Yes, it is.
This is actually a little lighter. That's why it says the path to enlightenment is a river of Tomoka beer. That's what it says around the top of the can. Tomoka, I apologize. It was okay. I wasn't really actually crazy about it, which is why I have so much of it left.
How is that mixture, by the way?
I will say 3.
3, really?
Yeah.
No.
It wasn't my favorite.
I'm going with a 6.
Me too.
I really enjoyed this beer.
I thought it was very smooth, good flavor to it.
Wasn't my favorite. I don't really have anything stand out. It didn't taste beery to me.
It doesn't need to taste beery. It's about...
To me, I would prefer that, though.
So you want a beer taste?
I like the beer taste. Yes.
Okay. Faraz?
My first sip invoked hints of a meatiness that I would pair well with a Wendy's Dave single.
Too bad there's none of those left.
It continued on developing as I drank it. I'm drinking 2 summer-themed beers right now, actually, side by side. Sam Adams Summer Ale and this Hazy Sunrise. And I have to say, the Hazy Sunrise is much more for my palate than the Summer Ale. Comparatively, the Summer Ale just falls flat, whereas this Hazy Sunrise is a delight. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 6.
Can I just say that is the best beer review I've ever heard you give?
That was pretty
descriptive, to the point, highly insightful.
I felt like he should have been wearing a smoking jacket.
That was really good.
Thank you.
If I had a snifter to put that beer in for you so you could look more intellectual, I would put it in there for you.
But you didn't like my beer review of... It was good!
I did. I really liked your beer review, but given the way Faraz usually over analyzes everything,
yeah,
I thought that was a phenomenal, straightforward,
you know what,
exact review.
What I just realized? Maybe somebody's just listening to this show for the first time, and they don't understand our rating
That's
system.
right. You're absolutely right.
What are you guys getting at?
I think someone should explain it to them.
I think they should.
Someone who uses words a lot.
A lot.
What?
Faraz?
What is the rating system?
So, as you've heard by now, we've been giving it 4s or 6s or whatever Nicole said.
You weren't listening? You weren't listening? You weren't paying attention? We just said it.
Now, earlier... Oh, wait, not earlier. In our live episode, we ranked burgers on a 5-point scale.
Which you can only get on Patreon at the moment.
Which is, as I feel like anyone with a scientific mind knows, the most accurate scale. And yet, here we are, ranking things on a 6-point scale. It's not even a scale, to be honest.
But why?
It's just drinkability out of a 6-pack. So how many of these beers can one drink out of a 6-pack? I give it a 4, because I could probably do 4. I'm kind of a light drinker, so I can't really do the entire 6-pack. Then that's my own failing. If I were able to do the whole 6-pack, I would. So theoretically, I could do a 6 out of 6 for this beer.
So that's what you give the rating.
No, because it's drinkability out of 6.
No.
This is the ranking. This is why we've been doing this.
No, I can't do 6 either.
Then why? No, this has been my understanding for over a year.
Why is this so confusing to you?
You guys have had me explain this several times now, and this is why I always explained it, and no one has yet criticized my understanding of it.
Oh no, trust me, we've criticized.
For us, if there was no alcohol content and it was purely on the taste of the beer, and you had, like, it was a soda and there's no alcohol content, and you could drink possibly 6 of them.
I can't drink 6 sodas. I can barely
Would
drink
you drink 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 of them?
No. Listen, this is about the context of what we're drinking. Like the burger thing. This is about context. It's about how many of these beers can I drink. I can drink 4 out of 6 of these beers, I feel like. I cannot drink 6 out of 6 of these. Would I like to? I would eventually like to, but I can't work that into my system.
I find Faraz's rating to be a 6.
So what you're
seems
saying
like it's a 6.
is
It's a
no
6.
beer will ever get a 6 because you will never be able to finish 6 beers
He
at
gave
once.
a beer rating a 6 on another episode.
Was it high?
No. What it tells me is that he can drink 6. He's just choosing not to.
Oh. Well, if that happened, then maybe that's true. Maybe like I would cut myself off after 4 of these, and therefore I would give this 4 out of 6.
Because of the taste. Not because of your tolerance.
Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Only because of my tolerance.
No,
Taste-wise,
my
I feel like
God.
this is at least a 5.
There you go.
Okay, so it's a
based
5.
on taste.
No, drinkability, I give
We're
it a
going
4.
5.
Oh my
The
God.
final answer is
Oh
a
my
5.
God.
We are
I
going to
can't.
compromise on this, and
I
Faraz
don't wanna
is giving
go
this a
home.
5.
Can I give it a 4.5?
Sure.
What?
Yes.
Oh, yeah? Okay, 4.5.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
There's a happy
5 it
medium.
is.
So, the episode that Faraz is alluding to, which nobody else knows about because it's on our Patreon page, is the Dinner with Faraz episode.
The look of anger in your eyes when you look at me.
Just was recorded before the show doesn't mean they're going to come out at the same time. You have to remember that. This is probably 4 weeks from
Your
being
look
released.
of regret and sorrow has definitely evolved into this.
Anyway, for $3, you can listen to that show. You can listen to other bonus
How much
episodes.
is it to read the script?
It's also $3. You get all the scripts that are up there. You get bonus audio content, including the Dinner with Faraz episode of the burgers.
Hey.
His full
And,
script about Star Wars politics
And any script from any previous show.
Yes.
Like video game console wars, and maybe the fishbowl facts that were ignored.
Yes, we'll put those up there. And you can ignore them on that
And it's
as
just
well.
for $3 small.
10 pages.
Anybody-
Go 10 pages.
For a month, unlimited. You can also catch us on Spreaker. Do that. That doesn't cost you any money, and we get paid still. And we're on all the other podcast stuff everywhere except for Spotify.
They don't like us.
They don't like us.
They don't like squirrels.
Do we know why?
I don't know.
You've
why.
mentioned this before, but I've
Did
never
you
asked
not hear
why.
Nicole? They don't like squirrels.
And they don't like swearing.
So Faraz, how would you
Who
react to
swears
that? To
the
them
most?
not liking swearing.
I feel like that's an okay call, you know?
Good catch.
I guess non-swearing appeals to a more widespread, mainstreamish audience.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
I like Nicole's idea of the bleeps. I think we'll start doing that.
Yeah.
And then
Super Mario coin.
Nicole already mentions this, but if you want to email us, it's podcast42show
4-2
show
at gmail.com. And I think that wraps
our
up the
official
console.
Podcast
official
42
page.
show group page
Oh, that's
on
right.
Facebook. We'll ask you how you heard about us. You could tell them if you're listening to this episode and this is your first time hearing about our group. You could tell us that you found us listening to our Nintendo Console Wars episode, or you could say that somebody invited you to like our page, and any of those answers is appropriate.
Or you can say you like one for us swears.
We are almost up to 1,200 people on our page. Did we almost pass? Did we pass it?
Yeah.
We passed it?
And how many listeners do we have?
I don't know why the app says 1,200 because it's way more than that.
Really?
Yeah, if you look on Facebook app, it says like 1,200, but if you look on Facebook website, it's like almost 2,000.
What?
Facebook and controversy, unheard of.
I need to see
Weird.
this.
All right, well, that's the end of the show. Who are you guys?
I'm Nicole Fasone.
I'm JL.
Who are you?
And he doesn't have to have a last name. I don't have to have a last
You
name.
need
had
a
one
last
at the beginning
name.
of the episode. You can't just drop it now.
I am the official president of the Luke Cage should be in a Marvel movie fan club.
Oh my
Tros.
god.
JL Tros.
And I'm Christopher DeVos.
I'm Faraz. Hey!
Faraz A.
Bye.
You can find him on Facebook as Faraz A.
Bye.
Fairly well.
You are no longer listening to Podcast 42.
Some of the stuff you just heard might have been embellished, made up, or just plain incorrect. In other words, don't use this show to write a book report with. You will get a bad grade. Just like all the hosts.
But I'm not done yet.
JL's Beer Cooler is written and performed by Cremo. Cremo is an award-winning actor and musician. For all things Cremo, including more great music, visit Cremo.com. That's spelled Craymo. He is on Twitter at Cremo. Facebook, just search Cremo Music, and also on YouTube under, you guessed it, Cremo.